episode number 45 of Winning the Division, where you are either in the division or you are winning the division, as we are about 90 days from kickoff of the regular season. So hard to believe that the season's still 3 months away, but the countdown's already under 100 days. My name is Ryan Smith, and I am your co-host alongside former NFL tight end and University of Florida tight end Ben Troupe. Ben played for the Titans, for the Bucks, for the Raiders. For those of you who may not remember every stop that Ben was on, besides his wonderful Titans teams that he was on. But Ben, before we get started, as I normally do, you can find us audio version on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, where we are powered by Fans First Sports Network. Keep Pounding brings you the latest news and analysis and interviews from top players, announcers, studio leads, and more. Rate, review, and subscribe to your favorite podcast platform, and subscribe to our video content here at youtube.com/Tobacco Road Sports Radio. And for our friends at 1-800-Flowers.com, if you are still searching for Father's Day, that is coming up here next Sunday. There's Sunday currently coming up. You can go to 1-800-Flowers.com, put in the code 299-7001 for a discount off your great gifts for those superstar dads out there. If you have a graduate that's graduating, that's another one they're offering right now, class of 2025, with gifts to recognize all their hard work. Get starting at just $15, 1-800-Flowers.com. Our friends, you can put in that promo code 287-5612. Those codes for those and more at our friends at 1-800-Flowers.com. Ben, it is minicamp time, second week of the minicamps, but we'll get there. First thing we always do is first things first. And I'm going to start with Jaire Alexander getting a cut from the Green Bay Packers after the contract impasse. A lot of people think my Panthers should be going after him since he's a Charlotte native. I've got some thoughts on that, but what are your thoughts on the contract impasse ultimately getting Jaire Alexander cut from Green Bay?
I think it's a part of the league. I think it's a part of the business. Jaire Alexander, incredible player. I think two-time second-team All-Pro since he got drafted back in 2018. One of the premier cornerbacks when he's healthy. So I'm going to say top 5. Top 10 definitely when he's healthy. But you can't make the club in the tub. Jaire Alexander, you haven't seen him in a while. Been on the side of a milk carton because he's been hurt. The last 2 years, I want to say he might have played in 7 games in 2 years. Yeah. Here's the thing. If you've ever, seeing Jaire Alexander play, he's a big-time player. He's also very outspoken. He also does not bite his tongue. I remember this is the same Jaire Alexander who I think was hurt and still walked out on the field as a captain when they played Carolina, and his coach didn't even know he was doing that. And he was like, hey, man, I'm from the crib. It's like sometimes you just outgrow a situation. Sometimes it's time to move on. The general manager, or I want to say the president of Green Bay, was really, really complimentary of Jaire Alexander, saying, look, we appreciate his contribution. We are a much better team. We are much better now than when he first got here. We appreciate everything he's done. But, hey, when we playing you this much, I want to say Jaire Alexander at one point was the highest paid cornerback in the league. When you talk about
I think you're right.
Money per year. And now, still in his early, late 20s, still got some football left in him. Yep. But it's because the money has to equal the production, and it definitely has to equal time spent on the field. The production can't be there if you ain't on the field, so they got to move on, and they did it. And they say he was actually getting ready to come to training camp, even though he missed all the voluntary stuff. He was going to come to minicamp, but hey, now he can go out there and seek a team, hopefully be on the team by training camp.
You are right. He had 2 years remaining on the 4-year, $84 million contract extension that made him the highest paid corner in the NFL at the time. Packers will pick up more than $17 million in salary cap space for this season. Played in just 34 of 68 games since the start of 2021, a year in which he appeared in only 4 games because of a shoulder injury. And so he's scheduled to make $17.5 million this season, but none of that was guaranteed. So he has, in 7 seasons, including the playoffs, 15 interceptions for the Green Bay Packers. Let's move on to Drake May. He said he's building something special in New England, starting to find his stride in the new offense.
I saw that, and I'm happy for the young man. I mean, when you think about the quarterback position is the most important position. I mean, I know he's going to have guys like Collins. I mean, if Stephon Diggs can, do more on the field and less, going viral on boats. I mean, Drake May is a guy that they're going to put. Drake May is a guy they really, really feel good about. You like the fact that he's saying all the right things. It seems like Mike Vrabel is not putting a muzzle on the young man. Let them just be his own person, say the things that he needs to say to feel comfortable. But right now, Smitty, it don't mean much. Nope. Going up against the same people every single day. A lot of things are scripted. You cannot get hit in practice. They can't touch you in practice. But if he's saying, look, he's finding his stride, that's what you want to hear. But when them live bullets get to firing at you, we'll see come week one. But all things are pointing in the right direction in Foxborough.
We have got punter news. Logan Cook made the league's highest punter by the Jacksonville Jaguars down there in Duval.
Logan definitely gonna earn his money. Trevor Lawrence still the quarterback down in Jacksonville. Check. They got a brand new coach in Liam Cohen. Check. They got the youngest GM. Check. I know that Travis Hunter is going to be asked to do. Be everything. I know he spent time at receiver and cornerback. But Logan, congratulations to you, sir. I mean, I always appreciate guys like Logan, the punters who. No one cares about field position until a guy like Logan comes into the game. So listen, man, you can literally flip the field. Highest paid cornerback, no state tax. Congratulations to that man.
And then let's keep it going as I lost my place in the shuffle here. Colts formalized the transition to Jim Irsay. Rest in peace, Jim, who died a few weeks ago now. His three daughters each given the role of CEO and owner, but his eldest daughter, Carly Irsay Gordon, will assume the main role of the owner and CEO. But all three daughters will have a Casey Ford, his other daughter, owner and executive vice president, and then youngest sister, Kaylin Jackson, will be owner and chief brand officer. Jackson will also be president of the Indianapolis Colts Foundation. So just thoughts on the transition from Jim Irsay's ownership to his daughters.
Congratulations to those young ladies. Obviously, there's a very, very traumatic time in their life losing their father, but he's definitely has prepared them for this moment. And you talk about of epic proportion. I know we got the Jones family with Stephen Jones being the president. I've never seen, three young ladies as young as they are. I don't know how young they are, but I'm pretty sure they're probably very young, being able to step into a role like this. And I know they're gonna make some mistakes. I mean, they're gonna have to find what works best for them. But we are rooting for them. And like I said, Irsay, may our hearts and prayers go out to his daughters. To the rest of his family, and dare I say, it's a new beginning. The one thing his daughters are not going to have to worry about is trying to turn Indianapolis into a football town. They have literally done that, and now they get to carry on their father's legacy by cementing their legacy as the first sisters. I mean, that I can remember, they're not the first young ladies to be able to inherit something like this. But we are wishing them the best, man, and we hoping that. They're going to have a lot of people within that organization definitely trying to help make their transition a very, 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 very easy one and hopefully a productive one.
A couple of news on the Cincinnati Bengals before we get to our two main topics that we'll explore a little more. Bengals released starting linebacker Jermaine Pratt, who was from NC State, third-round pick. He has started 88 of 96 games for the Bengals, the longest tenured Bengal on the roster besides Drew Sample, tight end, only members of 2019 draft class. He was set to enter the final year of a 3-year contract extension he signed in 2023, and currently 29 years old, starter of each of the past 6 years, instrumental in the back-to-back AFC North titles and AFC Championship appearances back in 2021 and 2022.
So Sam Hubbard decides to retire. Henderson is still, I think, trying to deal with his contract situation. Now you're leading tackler, for the last, 5-6 years of being released. There's something going on in Cincinnati, and I don't know why it's going on that way. There's something up with this defense. I mean, they can't keep it. Sam Hubbard wants to move on. Henderson can't get his money. Now your leading tackler is trying to move on, or your longest tenured guy. Hopefully it'll come out as to why he got released. I understand these type of things happen. Maybe he wanted more money. Maybe they was like, well, listen, we ain't in a position to give you more money, but hey, man, hopefully he'll land on his feet. He's 29 years old.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be a cap thing based on they're opening up about $6 million in savings, but $6 million is it's not a lot. I mean,
they penny pinching right now, but that's what happens when Hendrickson want the money that he wants. Right. I mean, 35 sacks in 2 years. I mean, 35 sacks in 2 years ain't nothing. I mean, that's a league company, but the Hendrickson one is the most puzzling one because you got a guy that led the league in sacks the last 2 years, and you don't want to give him his money. And now Sam Hubbard said, "Hey man, I can't deal with this defense anymore. I want to move on for football." Now my starting middle linebacker is getting cut. But they did re-sign T. Higgins. They did re-sign Jamar Chase. Problem is, they catch footballs. They don't chase quarterbacks. So we'll see what happens with Cincinnati.
Yeah, and Mike, Panthers, your Falcons could easily use Tremaine Pratt. And both of our teams could use him very much.
Yeah, anybody can use a guy that's led their league and led their team with tackles the last 5 or 6 years. Has been to the postseason, have been to a Super Bowl, have been to an AFC Championship game, and now I just want to be appreciated. If I could be a productive player for a team like Cincinnati, I definitely could be productive for a team like Carolina, who's going to be in the mix, and a team like Atlanta they're trying to stay in the mix. That I think is going to be a very, very competitive NFC South.
And then Pac-Man Jones, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals, Tennessee Titans, among other teams, arrested in Cincinnati, near Cincinnati, early on last Saturday morning. Currently 41 years old, arrested with alcohol intoxication in a public place, disorderly conduct, and assault of a police officer. Or probation officer. So a lot of legal stuff in here as well. But 6th overall pick from the Bengals back in 2005, 12 seasons in the NFL, 2005 to 2018, 8 of those seasons with the Bengals, where he was an all-pro kick returner in 2014 and made the 2015 Pro Bowl.
Pac-Man Jones is the guy, man, that I'm always rooting for. I got drafted in 2004. Pac-Man got drafted in 2005 out of West Virginia. Pac-Man is a guy that if you've ever known him or met him before, he's very, very, very outspoken. Atlanta native. And we don't know the details. I know he does a podcast, and I think he's back on this podcast saying, look, he didn't do the things they said that he did, that they alleged that he did. Trouble seems to find Pac-Man. Adam Pac-Man Jones. I'm praying for you, Pac, and I'm happy at what you're doing now. For people who don't know, Chris Henry, a guy that died tragically, while he was with the Cincinnati Bengals, him and Pac-Man Jones are best friends at West Virginia. Pac-Man literally raised Chris Henry's sons, and one of them I think is going to college right now. So Pac-Man is an incredible dude. It just when trouble happens, man, it seems to be find him. Hopefully, it'll end up being misdemeanors or thrown out. But come on, Pac-Man. I mean, you're in your early 40s now, man. We gotta make decisions, and sometimes we gotta bite our tongue and walk away. I get it, ego and alcohol do not mix, but we gotta find a way to walk away, man. We represent too many things. You're a husband, you're a father, you're an ambassador. Come on, man. We gotta find a way to let that little stuff be little stuff.
All right, and then the two biggest headlines that we will talk a little bit more about, so you can just give a very brush over, and then we'll kind of go into these two topics a little bit more here. Nick Chubb, formerly of the Cleveland Browns, signs with the Houston Texans. Browns paying tribute. And then Aaron Rodgers finally signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the worst kept secret in the league, $13 million plus on a 1-year deal.
Nick Chubb, congratulations, sir. I know he dealt with a lot of injuries when he was over there with Cleveland. When you were healthy, one of the best running backs in the league. You talk about like a back, Joe Milton, Nick Chubb, if he's healthy. I think he definitely made that offense a lot better. Aaron Rodgers, to me, is becoming more and more of a diva every day. He just is. And you knew you were going to sign with Pittsburgh. What are you waiting on? What, you had to film another special or something? You were doing something? Because I would say this.
Supposedly he talked to the Rams. He wanted to make sure those doors were shut before he, signed them.
Yeah. Smith. I never thought that Mike Tomlin would never ever be confused. Mike Tomlin is a future Hall of Fame coach who never had a losing season. I think he's going into year 19 or something like that with the Steelers. But the fact that he has not been able to find a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger retired is puzzling. You just haven't. You just have not been able. Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson. Now you talking about Aaron Rodgers. And I don't want to hear one more person talking about Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest throwers of the field. Who cares? Who is he now? And I said it before the show. I'm going to say it now. For everybody talking about this a young man's league, they must not be talking about the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is a year younger than me. We 80s babies, early 80s babies. Then you talk about Russell Wilson. Now Matthew Stafford is still productive, but he ain't no spring chicken either. Then Joe Flacco's down there in Cleveland. I mean, we'll see what happens with Pittsburgh. For everybody thinking that he's going to have a resurrection, it's not going to happen. Are they going to beat Baltimore? No. But they're not beating Baltimore. Are they going to be in the dogfight with Cincinnati? Probably. You know who you feel bad for? T.J. Watt. All that talent, all that ability.
Cam Hayward,
Minka Fitzpatrick. You got some players. And DK Metcalf, boy, Porter Jr. Listen, Joey Porter Jr., get ready to fight a lot. Eat your Wheaties, because that's a freaking mutant, freaking action hero over there, wearing receiver. But hey, man,